Right, so for this week's match winning blog, we've got a massive improvement in the weather. I'm sat here today at Tunnel Barn and it's 20 odd degrees, and like as you know from all the other blogs, I'm talking about how bad the fishing's been with how bad the weather's been and how wet it's been. But looking at it now and looking at the forecast going forward, it's going to be really warm all week, and hopefully now it's on the up. So I'm just going to talk about this week's matches, which have been at Lindholme and over the weekend at Tunnel Barn. So firstly, Wednesday I went to Lindholme for the Fish'O Qualifier, and I've drew peg 12 on Willers. And now I didn't expect Willers to ever have a chance of winning the match, but I did think that I was on a good peg on Willers, so I was really happy to be here. Looked a nice peg, had some nice reeds in the edge, and I had the wind blowing into my corner, and I thought I was going to have a nice day. So, talking about the approach on the day, I sort of didn't want to go towards the sticks in the edge unless I really needed to, because I felt like it was going to be quite snaggy in there. So what I plan to do is start on pellet short, fishing slightly to my left. It's quite shallow on this lake, about 4 foot, and it's quite flat all the way out. So what I had the option of doing is starting quite short and then adding sections if I needed to fish with pellets. And then also what I've done is loose feed some casters long to fish up and down, hopefully, you know, trying to catch them shallow. And then I've also changed my pellet line short into maggots for later on in the session, hoping I'd get a good run there. I also did feed a bit of bait down the edge, but on the day it didn't really work. So as it's turned out, I've ended up having a nice day, catching a few on pellets short start with half a dozen fish short on pellets. Added a section and caught a couple more. And then I went out and fished up and down for most of the day with casters, catching an odd fish in little runs. And then I've caught a few fish short on maggots late on, to end with 40 F1s, which have gone £107, which managed to win the lake. So really good result for me, but never going to challenge on the overalls, as Ryan Laycock's won the match from Benny's with £177. So brilliant weight, mate, well done, and good luck in the final. The next match I want to talk about was yesterday, which was the Tunnel Barn Fish'O Qualifier, and I've drew peg 32 on House. Now, this can be quite a good area. The lake, as anyone who knows Tunnel Barn will know, over the bridge on House can be a brilliant, place to be. You can catch big weights of F1 shallow when they really want to feed. So I was hoping that'd be the case, but when we got there, what we noticed was there was fish spawning everywhere, and now the weather yesterday was the first really warm day that we've had. It was probably over 20 degrees, so the fish have come straight in looking to spawn. I think they've been knocked back a bit. I think they wanted to spawn a bit earlier, and obviously the cold weather stopped them, so I think they're raring to go now. So the fish were crashing about everywhere, and I felt like the fishing could be a bit more tricky. And as it's turned out, it has been. I've just caught a couple of fish short on meat to start with, and then I've caught basically all my fish just fishing across to the willow tree, shallow, just catching a very odd fish. And I've ended up with probably about 30 fish for £64, which was no good on the day. Never felt like I had a chance of doing any good. I felt like what I learned from the day, though, has sort of stood me in good stead for when I come here for future matches. And like I say, I've been back here today, and I'm going to talk about that later. So, overall on the day, my best mate, Kieran Marsden, my travelling partner, he actually managed to win the match from club, so buzzing for Key. He was on peg 21, and I think he's caught everything across in the grass on casters and had an awesome weight, £144, and won the match. So buzzing for Key, and fingers crossed he's going to go on to win the final, so got my fingers crossed for him. So going to talk about today, come back for the Open, which has been on top and house pool, and I've drew peg 20 on top, and I didn't initially fancy it, but when I've actually drove up here and looked at my peg, it looked really good, to be fair. I've had the wind blowing down, and it looked like there was going to be some fish here. So based on the day before, I decided on my approach of just literally fishing shallow in the edges against the reeds and shallow to the lily pads. And then I've also set a mugging rig up. And I've basically had a nice match, catching probably around 60 F1s and a couple of carp, which have gone £131. And that's been enough to actually win the match on the day. So buzzing with that, lovely day's fishing and a great day's weather. Also, I've actually filmed that match for a live match for the Match Winning Edges channel, so that's going to be coming out later in the week. So that'll be a good one for you to watch. It's been quite an interesting match. You'll see it's been quite a strange match, but it's been quite a rewarding match in the end, and I've actually managed to win. So check that out later in the week. So overall it's been quite a good week's fishing. I've had a few bites. Again, it's not been hectic, but it's definitely showing signs that the fish are going to get through with spawning and that the fishing's going to really improve, and it's going to be really good going from next week, I think. Fingers crossed anyway. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join me next time for another match winning vlog.